The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys! This is Talkin Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
Handoff, Elliott plowing to the goal line. Buried, sacked by Lawrence. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
And now, your hosts, Isaiah Stanback, Patrick Walker, Rob Phillips, and Kyle Yeomans.
It is a wonderful Monday edition of Talkin Cowboys presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company here from the Star in Frisco and the SWBC studios as we break down the Cowboys' loss to the Philadelphia Eagles 26-17 on Sunday Night Football, and we'll do so here over the next 45 minutes. Chris Beam in the back, Rob Phillips, Isaiah Stanback, Patrick No C. Walker. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Gentlemen, this is the last time the Cowboys will play on primetime for a little bit of time, so that's probably good. Patrick, what time did you get in last night?
Wheels touchdown here at DFW a little bit before 4 a.m.
Yeah, so you're bright and early. You're rested. You got your Black Rifle coffee.
No sleep, right?
No sleep.
Oh,
Patrick,
yes,
no
no
sleep.
breaks.
Walker.
Is that the first time you stayed up to 4 o'clock?
Not at all.
I was just saying there.
Not at
No,
all.
see, don't make it like it's the first.
It was basically
Every time's like the first time.
That's basically a carbon copy of the New York trip. That's like literally exactly,
literally.
and I didn't go on this one. That's literally exactly when we rolled in from New York. So those are tough ones. So God bless you for being here.
Even more so when you don't have the dub to kind of ride in on. Unfortunately,
Yeah, you can't put on the cowboy hat, and you can't drink the tiger milk
no
this
tiger
week.
milk this week.
It's unfortunate, but that's okay.
Stay tuned for the lion milk though, but we'll get to that later in the week.
Okay, we're going that far into the Lions rivalry. Is that what this is?
Yeah,
No?
we'll talk about those guys
Okay.
later.
We got time.
9-point loss for the Cowboys yesterday. Cooper Rush, 18 of 38 passing. He had more incompletions than he had completions. 181 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. He had not thrown a pick prior to this game this season, and then throws 3 in the one game. And Isaiah, we had talked about it, that the luck at some point for Cooper Rush was going to run out, and it looked like it ran out a little bit last night. He threw 3 interceptions. It could have been worse, really, if you look at some of the throws when you go back on the film. But in the game where we talked about it previously, you can't give up the football. You have to hold on to the football, take care of the football. He gave it up, and that ultimately was the difference.
Yeah, it wasn't just him, but this, for people that are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he played like that. You've seen this from Rush, and I don't want to make this like it's just a Rush thing. Rush didn't lose you this ball game.
No.
But we saw this in Washington. We talked about this last week, that was lucky as all get out, and that's why the whole conversation came up, because you had 2 interceptions that got called back because of illegal contact and holding or whatever else. So we've seen that those errant throws be kind of tossed up there. We've also seen it when he's under a little bit of duress, him not make the best decisions, okay? The velocity changes, all those type of things. But we've also seen it where we just can't move the doggone ball that effectively. And the biggest thing we said last week was the biggest threat to the Dallas Cowboys in this weekend's game was getting behind. Because now you're going to ask somebody who you've tasked with being a game manager. Don't be confused by having Cooper Rush as your game manager versus being somebody who can go win you a game. And the moment that you place that responsibility on him, that's what you're going to see is what happened yesterday.
Yeah, I didn't go on the trip, but I thought, watching the broadcast, I thought Chris Collinsworth just summed it perfectly up at the end when he said the Eagles had more ways to win the game than the Cowboys did. And I wrote this in Gut Feeling on Friday. I felt like the Eagles are probably the better overall complete team right now. I was still willing to ride with the Cowboys defense, provided Cooper Rush takes care of the ball.
Yeah.
And they still, because we've talked about it for weeks, they've had to play a certain way to be able to win football games. And it leaves a very slim margin for error. And anytime you lose the turnover battle 3-0 and really 4-0, and you gift a team that good the ball 3 times in your own territory, you're probably going to lose. Now, I was really impressed with the way they fought back.
Yeah. That's
the mark of a good team. That's a team that's going to – they're still going to go places, I think, and they should probably be favored in at least the next 3 games that they play. And Dak's coming back. Based off of that pregame workout in OC, I can't imagine he won't be back for Detroit. But that was the recipe for losing games with Cooper Rush. That was the type of performance I think we thought we'd see more often, to be quite honest, just because he's never really played a lot. And Isaiah's right, like it's not all on him. But they had to play a certain way to win games, and especially to beat a team that good. And they didn't. It was too late for them to come back in that game.
Okay, so for me, this is going to be a difficult fine line to walk, but let's try to walk the line as best we can. Let's use a compliment sandwich when it comes to Cooper Rush, right? First and foremost, thank you, Cooper Rush, for your service, right? He deserves an ovation for getting the Cowboys to the point where you hate that they lost to Philly and in the fashion in which they did. However, if he doesn't play efficiently and he doesn't give the Cowboys that 5% that we kept talking about on a weekly basis, maybe this team is 1-5 or 0-6. Okay. Instead, they're 4-2. You hate losing. You hate losing to Philadelphia. You hate losing to Philadelphia in Philadelphia on prime time. However, Cowboys as a whole are still in very good shape. Could be better shape, but could be much, much worse. So there's the positive. Thank you, Cooper Rush, most certainly for that. What's also true is a large portion of this loss is hanging on Cooper Rush's shoulders. And leading into this game when we did our predictions, and, I'd love for them to prove me wrong in these types of predictions, but I felt like the defense would do what the defense has been doing, and for the most part they did, but they started to get gassed when you started to look at certain points in the game, the Eagles had a 9-point time of possession advantage, a 9-minute time of possession advantage, 10 minutes, 11 minutes at some point. It's going to wear on the defense, and in large part because Cooper Rush, the leprechaun that was on his shoulder, as Rob P. so eloquently put it on a week-to-week basis, I stated that I felt like in Philly it was going to take a nap. It didn't just take a nap. It crawled under a rock, and it died. Those potential interceptions.
That poor leprechaun.
Yeah, those potential interceptions that Cooper Rush would have thrown on a weekly basis that were negated by penalties, that were dropped by other teams, most recently like Bobby Wagner, for example. I said I don't believe the Eagles dropped these. I believe those opportunities turn into giveaways for the Cowboys, and unfortunately, that's what happened. I have a category that I'm working on in my analytics and science called critical error. And critical error, I try to qualify because you have errors, but critical errors are different. I try to qualify a critical error by either points left on the field, point or momentum swing, and or it results in points the other way. Okay, like a pick six would be a critical error. Of the 7 critical errors that I have listed, and I have to go back and watch the film, 4 of them belong to Cooper Rush. 3, obviously, the interceptions, but there was a near interception on a target to Michael Gallup in the end zone that left 4 points on the board because all they were able to get were 3 at that point.
Yeah.
So be it Cooper Rush or anyone, if any player wearing any number is accountable for 4 out of 7 critical errors, then you have to kind of put the loss mostly on their shoulders.
Yeah.
So yes, this one is on Cooper Rush, but I go back to the bottom bun, so to speak, of my compliment sandwich, in that Cooper Rush did exactly what they needed him to do in a backup role. He stepped up. He didn't lose the Cowboys any games before Sunday. Unfortunately, the carriage turned back into a pumpkin, but it did so in the days preceding, which would have probably happened anyway. QB1 looks like he's on the way back.
Yeah. So compliment sandwich, and I mean, this will be a little bit of the meat on the outside of that bun, because you look at 10 points off of turnovers in the first half. The interception that led to a touchdown, and only had a 44-yard field for Philadelphia to navigate. After they just went 15 plays, 80 yards. They had 44 yards, and they went down the field, and they scored on the touchdown to A.J. Brown. So short yardage, 7 points. And then right after that, turnover, they come back, and they only have the 1 yard, but it ends up in a field goal for Jake Elliott from 51 yards out. after that second interception. So there's 10 points right there. You take those 10 points away from the final score, then it's a Cowboys win. Now, they wouldn't have gone for 2 in that situation.
The Eagles got 20 points off of critical errors by my count.
There you go.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, you can add one more because
they would have kicked the PAT. It would have been a tie ball game, basically.
Well, I mean, it's not counted as a turnover, but when you turn it over on downs at your own 34, Philly got a field goal off of that. So
okay,
that's to me that's 13 points off turnovers,
yeah.
and like No C said, if you want to count 20 off critical errors, like you can't win that way. You just can't. Not against a team that good.
And Dante Fowler had a critical error as well, neutral zone infraction on 4th and 4. Coaching staff. Well, there was one play on the 4th and 1. There were 2 critical errors on the 4th and 1. One, the decision to not challenge the spot after CeeDee Lamb caught that ball.
Yep.
And then the play call out of the 4 and 1 that was an errant pass on a bootleg from Cooper Rush.
Let's talk about that situation because I know a lot of fans are frustrated with it. I feel like yesterday in the mentions in the comment sections that I saw from the post-game reaction, a lot of it pointed to the third down dive by CeeDee Lamb to try and pick up the first down. Upon further review, it ends up being a first down. It should have been called a first down. However, no challenge from the coaching staff. Then they rush up to the line of scrimmage. They run this errant play that just didn't look like it was going to work from the first place. Isaiah, when you look back at what happened there, would you have challenged it? 2, would you have gone for it? And 3, would you have called a different play if you would have gone for it?
Should have never got to the point where they needed to call a play because they should have challenged it.
Should have.
It should have just been done right there. Everybody's going to point at the referees. Oh, the referees should have made that call. Yeah, they should have. They make calls, they miss calls, but guess what? That's why you have a red flag in your pocket.
Honestly, and you can go back and watch on the all 22 for those of you listening. The line judge at the top of the formation, at the top of the screen, she actually marked it right. She had a first down marked. The line judge at the bottom came forward, and he was covered up by a couple extra bodies. She had the better look at it. They should have deferred to her judgment, but instead they deferred to the line judge at the bottom of the field, too, and they ended up marking it short.
And it happens, but guess what? All Coach McCarthy had to do was reach in his little handy-dandy waistband and throw that flag out.
Yeah.
And there's so many – I think there's on average –
Handy-dandy waistband.
I think
Fatherhood, yeah.
He obviously sees it in real time. He has a headset on. He has his coaches in the booth. Offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators are all up there. They have all kinds of, not scouting, but all the other guys.
Replay.
All the other guys. I mean, they have access, right? So somebody should have told him to throw the flag. And for whatever reason, they didn't, and that hurt him.
So here's McCarthy's explanation post game. I'm going to read from his quote so the fans can get his side of it. Down Judge Robert De Lorenzo, which kind of references what Kyle was saying as far as who they should have deferred to but did not, on the sideline told me she had the knee down before CeeDee Lamb extended. So my history has been when the official tells you that, it's usually pretty clear. There was no replay in that sequence, and there wouldn't have been in the 40 seconds. My experience has been when I'm communicated with by the official, I'm usually discouraged from challenging that play. End quote. He went on to explain more, but that's the context from the McCarthy standpoint. But I do agree with Isaiah and most Cowboys fans in this aspect. You're on the road, and even if it wasn't as seemingly obvious as it actually was, I still would have been okay with throwing the challenge flag on that because of the magnitude of the game and who you're going against. But, that saying, it was a little bit more obvious, and so obviously more so I would have been willing to throw that flag. And again, critical error and it could have been the consequence of it could have been deleted by a better play call on 4th and 1, but instead the play call on 4th and 1, the bootleg to the right that ended up in the sail pass, it compounded the critical error. And what happens? The Eagles get some points after that.
Yeah.
So
I don't want a better play call on 4th and 1. I want to punt it. That was me. I was surprised they did it. It's the second quarter. You love your defense. You trust your defense, and you're down 14-0. I get it. You want to get some momentum going. But I was surprised that they did that early in the game, pinned back as far as – I mean, we're seeing more and more teams do it. Rams did it last week. McCarthy's done it before. But, man.
Eagles did it a number of times.
Yeah, I mean, teams are getting more aggressive, but that's a tough situation to put your defense in.
Well, even if you throw the challenge flag and you don't get it, which in this occasion you would have gotten it, but if you throw it and you don't get it, the worst case scenario is you call a timeout, you get your ducks in a row, and then you turn around and you go out and you either punt the football away because you have more time to think about this decision, or you come up with a better play call. Because in McCarthy's explanation, they were up in that tempo. They were up in the high-tempo offense, the turbo. That's what his terminology was. Use that turbo look as an excuse to say we were going to go for it on fourth down anyways. That doesn't make me feel any better about the decision.
Are you more upset with the non-challenge, or are you more upset with the fourth down call?
Ooh.
That's a good one.
I think I'm more upset with the fourth down call just because the challenge is bang, bang.
I'm not upset by the fourth down call.
I hated the play call.
Okay.
I'm not.
I couldn't stand the play call.
I liked it a lot.
You like going for it down there when you're already down?
If you're going to go for it, I
touchdowns?
like it a lot because where your eyes at as a defense. You're
interior.
worried about the interior, so getting out on the edge is not a bad thing.
But the way that
give
they
yourself
did
options. I'm not
It's
against
such a long developing play for a quarterback that doesn't move well. He's rolling out to his right,
has
throwing
shown
off
inaccuracy
balance.
last night.
He had some inaccuracy issues. You were waiting on Noah Brown to make a block on the edge, and then he gets tripped up by CeeDee Lamb. It's
Give
just all
yourself
bad.
options.
It's all bad.
You still give yourself options. He's out on the edge, so he has an option to throw the ball to multiple guys that are open or run it.
Maybe.
He had options.
If Noah Brown hits his block, then yes, but he didn't.
But that's why you draw the play up. You don't draw the play up saying, "What if my guys don't do their job?"
But I think
what I'm saying?
Why do you have Ezekiel Elliott in the
expect-
backfield?
I understand it, but you also have 700 pounds of grown men sitting in the middle of your formation. So I'm not opposed to getting out on the edge and giving Cooper Rush an option to tuck that thing should he had won the edge. It's unfortunate that Noah Brown didn't pick up his block. It's unfortunate that he didn't throw a completion, but the play call was actually a doggone good play call.
I don't
know about that one.
Yeah, this is a difficult for me. This is a difficult one for me because I see what both of you are saying. You're right. You don't call plays based on your expectation that they'll fail.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
That said, you had to that point in the game, you had already seen at least 2 sailed passes from Cooper Rush, some inaccuracies. You had seen the interception. He was just not on his.
So you're
game.
saying you play with scared money?
No, I'm not saying you play with scare money. I'm saying you
Put
play.
your guys
do.
in a success,
Hold on.
in a
I
place to
do.
be
I'm scared
successful.
to
I say you play to what's working at any given moment. You play to what's working at any given moment. And the passing attack was not working to that point in the game, although the running attack was showing some signs.
Was CD open?
No, he was not. CD was on the ground.
I just call me.
He threw it at Peyton Hendershot,
these,
who
like,
was
just
covered from behind by a half a step. He had a half a step on a guy, threw it to Peyton Hendershot, but then there was a linebacker in front of him, threw it on the backside of it. It should have been intercepted.
Call me milquetoast, okay? And people have, and they're in my life. But I'm punting. I'm putting them, pinning them back. I'm resetting with my defense, and I'm saying let's reset and not spot them 3 more points.
Hey,
That's
where
just
I-
me.
I used to tell my coaches, give me that same play. Give me out on the edge.
And I understand. And
Give
you know
me on
what?
the edge.
Like
You're not
and
Cooper Rush.
I'm a lot faster.
Mike
Exactly.
Mike has had a great pulse of his football
Escapability,
team.
extend play.
I like the call. I'm not opposed to the call.
He's been he's done this before, and he shows faith in his team, and I appreciate it. He knows his team and he knows his offense, but in that moment, man.
But the thing is, like, this is the crazy part. I can say I'll stand behind this. It's unfortunate it didn't work out. It happens, okay? You go for it on fourth, you win some, you lose some. Okay?
Sure.
But just like Friday and Pop said, you live to see another day, okay? But the reality is, if they would have turned around and handed the ball off to Zeke and came downhill and Fletcher Cox or freaking Jordan Davis would have freaking came in there and just mollywopped them,
Then I'm more
people would have
upset.
been pissed off.
Then
People would be
I'll
like,
take it.
oh, you tried to run the ball at these 2
See, but
mammoths.
then at that point, I'm more upset with the non-challenge than I would be with the play call.
I hear you.
I'm more upset with the
It's a
play call
sliding
than I
scale.
am with the
That's fair.
non-challenge.
It's a sliding scale.
I hear you.
I'm more upset with the non-challenge.
Me too.
Because it's the butterfly effect, right? We're not talking about what play was
Agreed.
called on fourth down.
But the thing is, what's bothersome
if we throw the red flag.
What's bothersome is you don't not challenge with he didn't. Let me run this back. That's the best way to say this. Let's just. I'm going to assume because we don't know. Okay, but there's a high probability that he had all the information that he needed from upstairs to make an asserted challenge.
Yeah.
We've been in those booths before.
Oh, yeah.
We see the replays. We know how fast those things come through. TV copies were running replays before they even went up there and tried to sneak the ball or you try to run the fourth down play.
And that's where he's relying on his information. Is
upstairs, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that
it didn't come in.
There must have been some kind of technical error because if I'm the offensive coordinator or quality control, whoever, I'm yelling, hey, challenge, throw the doggone flag. We see what you don't see, throw the flag.
And that's completely fair, which then brings us to the fourth down play, run the ball.
I'm not opposed to the fourth down.
Run the ball.
I like it.
Zeke has, number one, going into the game, we knew that Zeke has often played some of his best games in Philadelphia. He was playing strong last night. Cowboys kind of got away from the run early. We've seen this recipe before. It ended in a loss in against Tampa Bay. It ended in a loss in Philadelphia because by the time they got to the run and by the time they started utilizing the tight ends, which was one of my keys to success, you got to utilize the tight ends, really didn't start making that connection until the third quarter. And then when they started making it, it happened mostly on one drive, and that drive ended in a touchdown. So the things that were successful, the Cowboys weren't doing in the first quarter, first half. But in that particular moment, you talk about milk and toast, run the ball.
Brian Anger, kick it to Max's.
That's the milk and toast.
Tiger milk and toast.
Yeah, you got a little extra spice on yours. But
pumpkin spice?
Pumpkin spice. There's a couple extra things there, too, to think about. One, if the replay wasn't available, Isaiah, which very well could have been the case,
Yep.
How hard is it to just tap the brakes? You don't have to go turbo. Take the turbo away.
You don't want to give those guys a chance to sub either, because if you are going to do that, the last thing you want is Davis, Hargrave, and freaking Fletcher Cox in the game at the same time.
Right in the middle of the field.
Yeah, so
well,
I'm not.
Maybe you put the ball away.
I'm not opposed to the turbo. I'm not opposed to the fourth down call. The flag should have been thrown.
And there's no replay.
That's just reality.
There's no replay going to be in-house either because home field advantage.
It's the same.
They see the same thing that you see, and it's like, we're not going to throw this up there on the board in Philly. Whereas in Dallas, they may be like, hurry, get it on the board.
Yeah. I mean, I look at that fourth down call as the same thing as when you get in the red zone. And you're down there on the goal line, and teams are like, just run the ball. You're 1 yard away. And then what most of the time you see? Bootleg, guys getting out on the edge, throwing flat routes, throwing corners. It's the same freaking thing. Yeah. You had a lot of space out there. There was a lot of opportunity. You didn't convert on it.
For me, it really just boils down to one thing, and that's the fact that Cooper Rush had already shown you that he wasn't having a great night. And with a critical play like that, when a player's showing,
but you have to throw yourself back in the game, though. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So that's the thing. Like, I hear you, and it makes sense.
In the third quarter. In the third quarter.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about it on the other side of the break, because he did throw himself back into it, but it was also the ground game that found a rhythm, too. It wasn't just the passing game. They got back to it on the ground. Ezekiel Elliott had a fantastic game in my eyes, and we'll talk about that when we come back with more. Talking Cowboys, presented by Black Rifle Coffee, right after this.
When you build, you start with the foundation. And home ownership is a foundation of a stable future. The Bank of America Community Home Ownership Commitment has helped over 34,000 people lay the groundwork so far, with up to $10,000 towards your down payment or 3% of the purchase price, whichever is less. The satisfaction of owning your own place can become a reality. Visit bankofamerica.com/homeowner to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America N.A. Equal Housing Lender. Credit and collateral is subject to approval. Restrictions apply. This is not a commitment to lend.
Lil Sweet! Did you get to work on time?
Yeah, but I just realized it's Sunday.
Lil Sweet says head on home. Dr. Pepper's on its way. So sweet, unique. Baby, there's nothing better. I bet you've probably done something that deserves a Dr. Pepper. Did you invest your nest egg in an NFT?
Yeah, and I don't even know what that is. It's a non-fungible token.
Everyone's done something that deserves a Dr. Pepper.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Are you ready to take coffee off your grocery list forever? Black Rifle Coffee Club is here to help. As a coffee club member, you'll get your favorite coffees roasted, packaged, and shipped to your door free of charge on your preferred schedule. Set it, forget it, and never run low on coffee again. Members also get exclusive deals on coffee, products, and discounts from partner brands. Ease your mind and let Black Rifle worry about your coffee supply. Go to blackriflecoffee.com to join the coffee club today.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Back here on Talking Cowboys, presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company from the Star in Frisco. And the Cowboys fall on the road at Philadelphia, 26-17. The final score is it's the first loss for the Cowboys against the divisional opponent in 9 tries. They had an 8-game win streak going into that game against the NFC East, and that came to a close. So did their 4-game winning streak as well. They are now 4-2 on the season. By the way, limited tickets for the remaining home games of the 2022 Dallas Cowboys season at AT&T Stadium are available right now. You can visit dallascowboys.com/tickets or go to SeatGeek.com, the official ticketing provider of AT&T Stadium. So we left the first segment talking about how Dallas got back in it. And that's the back end of Patrick's so-called compliment sandwich, right?
Compliment sandwich.
The compliment sandwich. Is it a burger? Is it a sandwich?
It's a burger, and it's on a pretzel bun.
Ooh, that's really nice. Okay, so compliment sandwich. The back end of it was the fact that they fought their way back into it. 20-17. You had a chance for your defense, who is elite level, to come up and make a stop, and you didn't get it. But I want to talk about how they got to that point in the first place. And Isaiah, you and I were kind of talking with Patrick in the break about the situation at hand. Philly got away from themselves, and Dallas took advantage.
Yes, very much so.
How did that happen? With the RPO, it looked like the reads just said pass, and Dallas was more ready for it in the third quarter.
Yeah, I don't think Jalen Hurts had his best game. Honestly, he left a lot of freaking meat on the bone. Yeah, Dallas fans, y'all can say whatever you want to about it, but that could have been a lot worse.
I mean, his stat line.
It could have been a lot worse because there was a lot of reads that he was running. Just I don't know what he was looking at. You heard me yelling in the doggone room like,
"What are you doing?
What are you doing, bro?" Like, there's so many times he should have pulled it. So many times he should have pulled it and threw it. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities out there that Dallas were susceptible to. But ultimately, I think this offensive coordinator for Philly, he's shown it all year. You're right, Rob P. in the break, in terms of saying that they haven't been a second half team. Whenever they have had leads, they seemingly get away from what's got them to actually having the lead. And then when Dallas got close, they're like, okay, let's go back to what was working. And then they were just unstoppable again. So I think it was – I love Dan Quinn. I love this defense. I think it was more Philly pulling off the gas more so than it was Dallas being that effective defensively. Not to take anything away from them, I just think that Philly had a complete control of that game for the most part, and there was no signs that they could ever be stopped if they truly just wanted to go and just keep beating it down the blue. And I feel
real Dennis Greenish after seeing this game. The Eagles are who we thought they were. If you want to crown them, crown them. But they are who we thought they were. We mentioned this going into the game, and this was one of my points of science. Jalen Hurts, as a passer, meh. And he showed me that. I mean, before he finally threw that touchdown later in the game to kind of seal the deal for the Eagles, he only had like 120 yards passing and no touchdowns. The thing was, he had no interceptions. So he was playing mistake-free football to that point, no fumbles.
He still had a 100-plus passer rating, but he was 15 and 25 for 155.
But you know how passer rating is calculated. It's the efficiency of it. And no errors also boosts the passer rating.
Cooper Rush's halftime passer rating was interesting.
Right. It was 1.0. God. 1.0. He at halftime,
Cooper Rush's was
1.0. He had more interceptions than his interception tally was higher than his passer rating.
Yeah.
You can't win like that. Now, and I'm going to circle back and then jump back in this lane. Kudos to Cooper Rush for showing the R word again, resiliency. He used his tight ends, critical catch by Sean McEwen, critical catch by Peyton Hendershot, critical catch and touchdown later in that quarter by Jake Ferguson.
Can we talk about that one real quick? Because I was sick.
Yeah, we can. Really quickly before we veer back over there. You have a 1.0 passer rating at the half, 2 interceptions, and that leads to a time of possession in favor of the Eagles by 9 minutes and 35 seconds. That was quite indicative of how the game was likely going to end. The Cowboys could fight back, and they probably would fight back, but you're asking a lot of a defense to keep holding them, and the dam broke, and there was the touchdown.
Yeah.
But Jalen Hurts, he showed me that, he is what we thought he was. He can run the ball, try to contain him. Cowboys mostly did well in containing him mostly on the ground, but this was such a winnable game. Even if you take away just one of those interceptions, if you take away two of those critical errors, like the one by Dante Fowler, the neutral zone infraction that yielded points, look how much my bottom line is this, and I'll throw it over to you, Kyle.
You said this is a winnable game?
Absolutely, this was a winnable game. If you have 7 critical errors that ultimately awards the other team 20 of their 26 points, it tells me it was a winnable game because it took that
game.
Right, it took that much to happen for you to lose on the road.
It's winnable if you play your way that's been working and you don't make any mistakes at all,
or at least minimize the mistakes.
If you take away one or two of those mistakes, it was a 3-point game.
That's my point.
Isaiah keeps looking up and seeing 20-0, which I understand. You can't spot an undefeated team on the road 20 points. You can't do that.
It's hard to play. I mean, it's just, people are going to think it sounds like whatever, but it's hard playing from up.
Didn't impress me.
And unless you have a coordinator that is willing to put his foot on your throat and drive you into the freaking ground, most teams end up giving up leads, and they allow the game to get a little bit close, and they're like, "Oh crap, we should probably start playing again."
And they put their foot,
and then you put your foot back down. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that you can say, "Well, Dallas was just dominant during that period of time," or you can say that Philly let up. It doesn't. Well, I don't care what side of the table you're on. This game, when you looked up in the first part, it was 15 minutes of possession to 5 at one point in time. That could have easily been that way the entire game had he been that killer instinct. Dallas was never in control of this game. I don't care what emotions you want to feel. You could feel all sweet and dandy and say, "Oh, we were close. We had a chance." No, this game was dominated by Philadelphia. And you take this film and you take your freaking tussle, you put it on the bottom of your tongue, and you take the shot to the head, and you remember this for the next time you play them. But they dominated you in this game.
Here's what I'm saying. No, they did not.
Okay.
You lost this game. They didn't win this game. The win column is going to say what it does. But that's a thing. Teams can win games or they can get wins because the opposing team lost the game. This is a situation where the Cowboys lost this game. If this were the Buffalo Bills and you spotted them 20-0 at the half, do you think Josh Allen and that offense would have only finished with a 26-17 final? You mean to tell me that the Eagles let up after seeing the Cowboys go from 20-0 to 20-10 and then 20-17 before they woke back up? No, what it tells me is this team is very overrated. This isn't taken away from the fact that they got the 3 takeaways and so forth. Fine, you won the game. Kudos to you. My main takeaway here, though, is based upon the film that was now created by Philadelphia against this Cowboys defense, it tells me that the Eagles require multiple critical errors by the Cowboys in order to win the game against a backup quarterback. By the time they play again on Christmas Eve, we keep talking about how these other teams, this won't be the same team later in the season. And as I stated, that logic, if it applies to the apple, it applies to the orange. This Cowboys team doesn't have its QB1. And when it gets QB1 back, let's say he has a couple of hiccups against the Lions if he plays in the Bears, but he maybe hits his stride, most likely November, December. This is not the same team they'll face, but they have on film that Jalen Hurts is exceedingly one-dimensional. They have on film that this Philadelphia offense is not explosive. If you would have spotted the Buffalo Bills 20 points, you would have lost this game 56-3. That's the difference between a championship caliber team offense like you see in Buffalo and a team that's just taking advantage of the other team making mistakes in Philadelphia.
I agree and disagree with both you guys because I feel like I had to go back and watch the second half. I didn't feel like Philly let up. I think Lane Johnson getting hurt had a big impact on their protection, and they finally were able to get to him. But I think this offense, I don't think Philly's overrated either. I think their offense is so hard to play against, and it has a way. The way it's designed makes it so difficult for Micah Parsons to be Micah Parsons because NBC did a great job of showing it. They made him choose constantly what to do. like I think Collinsworth said at one point, they're not even blocking him. They're just putting him in a situation where what do I do?
He's got to choose.
He's got to choose. And that was very challenging for the Cowboys defense. It's going to be challenging for every team that plays this Eagles offense. And I'm with No-C on the fact that Jalen Hurts will leave things on the table. He'll miss throws. But he's got such a good group around him. He doesn't have to be perfect because they've got such great weapons and a great offensive line. And that being said, I was really impressed with the way Dallas fought back on both sides of the ball. Like, to me, I didn't see it, Isaiah, as Philly letting up so much as I just think Dallas is a good team, and they woke up a little bit. But I think the better team won last night. I really do. And I think when Dak gets back, I think this thing evens out more.
The better team lost because they made too many mistakes.
On this particular night, the way they play, I think the better team won.
I agree with that. Yeah. So go kind of along the same lines as Rob. I agree with both of you guys in a sense. I agree with Patrick in the sense that Dallas had a chance to win that game. I agree in you in the fact, but they never had control of that chance. They had a chance. That chance was when they were down by 3, your defense on the field, a full field for Philly to go and drive. And what did Philly do? They went 11 straight run plays. They ran the ball 11 straight times, and then they decided to put it in the air. One to A.J. Brown. He breaks a tackle, actually 2 tackles, goes up inside the 5-yard line. Then the next play, RPO to Devontae Smith, and it's a touchdown.
Both Jalen's touchdowns were off RPOs. It's a pain in the ass to play.
It totally is.
So there's a thing that DallasCowboys.com has. It's called the pregame live. And there was a gentleman by the name Isaiah Stanback and Barry Church.
It's a good-looking dude.
That kind of went over this. If you guys want to go back, we kind of went over this and described the issues that they were going to present to Micah Parsons. We broke this down like in a complete walkthrough. And then there was something else that was said earlier in the week about how these guys are going to run the ball. This is going to be the team. I don't know who said it. It's kind of crazy to do with dreads. But
it's probably Nate.
Yeah, probably Nate. But
you said that
Jesse
Holland.
Yeah, and possibly,
sure.
most likely Jesse. But said that they were going to. This is going to be the real test for our rushing defense, and that these guys were going to be diligent in their pursuit to run the ball, and then they're going to run it so effectively that you freaking forget that they have these receivers out there.
You forgot.
You freaking forgot. So there is no point in the game that you could point to and say, yeah, we're about to win this game. You can't sit up here and say that. So to say that Dallas had a chance to win this game, yeah, you had a chance before you stepped on the field too. But you can't sit up here and say at any point in the game that you felt confident that you were going to win this game. No fan can say that. No analyst, no fan, no coach. Philly controlled this game. In that last drive, you knew Philly was going to drive the ball down there. And there was nothing that Dallas can do. I'm sorry. That's just the reality. You can pat yourself on the back, make yourself feel better all you want to. Come back better next time. But this game, last night, Philly controlled that whole game. I don't care what the scoreboard shows.
So let's take our second break. When we come back, how much? Yeah, I know we're running late. I know. How much does Dak Prescott change things moving forward? And if these two were to play again next week, they don't. It's later in the season. You got until Christmas Eve to see them again.
Somebody's gonna have a bad Christmas.
But when you see that team again, how much can things change? When we come back with Talkin Cowboys, presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Black Rifle Coffee Company serves premium coffee to people who love America. When you drink Black Rifle coffee, you are directly supporting veterans, law enforcement, and first responders in your community. Black Rifle's expert roasters love coffee almost as much as Texas loves football, so it makes sense that America's Coffee partnered with America's team. Go online at blackriflecoffee.com and fuel up with the official coffee of the Dallas Cowboys. That's blackriflecoffee.com to fuel up today.
Lil Sweet! Did you get to work on time?
Yeah, but I just realized it's Sunday.
Lil Sweet says head on home. Dr. Pepper's on its way. So sweet, unique. Baby, there's nothing better. I bet you've probably done something that deserves a Dr. Pepper. Did you invest your nest egg in an NFT?
Yeah, and I don't even know what that is. It's a non-fungible token.
Everyone's done something that deserves a Dr. Pepper.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
NFL Plus is here, which means no matter where you are, this is how you football. Get live, local, and primetime regular season and postseason games on your phone or your tablet. You can get game replays and more. Go to plus.nfl.com and start your free trial of NFL Plus today. Use NFL Plus. Go watch the film because we've got a lot to break down all week long here on Talkin' Cowboys. Patrick No Sleepwalker. We've got Isaiah Stanback. We've got Rob Phillips and Chris Beam in the back. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Now, we've got like 4 minutes left, so we'll breeze through this. But Dak Prescott potentially making his return. Rob, you said it earlier in the show, just the way that he looked pregame, felt pretty good about it, right?
Yeah, I mean, just reading off what No Seed and the guys were tweeting up there, that was a pretty extensive workout, right?
It was.
50 throws is what they reported.
And the spirals were tight. He had some zip on it. They wouldn't let him throw anything much longer than 20, so 20, 21-ish, 22-ish. But 50 throws to my count and to McCarthy's count, and he was also dropping some dots as well. Back shoulder fades, back of the end zone pylon. The only thing we didn't see were the longer throws, which just goes to him not being game ready at that time.
Yeah.
But the zip is there. He was ripping it. Right.
He was gripping and ripping.
He was gripping and ripping.
I think what we're seeing is they're executing the plan that they've had in place all along. And we've speculated week to week, but you give them a little work last week. Mike has said all along, full week of practice. I think they've been pointing to this week in the last couple weeks. And if all goes well, I think we'll probably see him. I think we will see him.
Everything that happened yesterday, I just kept replaying what Rob was saying on Friday and his predictions in my head. This is a game where you wish you had Dak Prescott because you were playing from behind. And you needed somebody to come and throw you back into a ball game.
I still pick the Cowboys.
And you still pick the Cowboys. That's fine. But you said it. You said this is a game where you have a feeling that they're going to have wanted Dak Prescott. Now they want Dak Prescott. Everybody wants Dak Prescott back. He's back and ready to go. How much of a difference does he make against Detroit this week?
Well, there's certain instances where I've been saying for weeks, I just think he's a better football player. I didn't understand I didn't think it was a discussion to begin with him and Rush.
Sure.
There are certain plays in the game last night where we talked about the 4th down call. Dak's mobility would have helped on that play. There's throws that Rush left on the field. Now, I will say his 3rd interception where he probably could have been a roughing call. If it was a week ago, the league might have called that a roughing call, and they didn't. That's not why they lost the game. But I didn't say in my mind, well, that's a bad throw by Rush. I think he got crushed on that play. But Dak's arm talent is different. I think he can make more throws down the field, and I think he's going to get more receivers involved. And that's no disrespect to Cooper Rush, but Dak is the guy for a reason.
Yeah. Isaiah, what do you think?
Swag.
Well, all right. Patrick, what do you – no, I'm just kidding.
No, Dak just brings a different energy. That is what it is. Everything that Rob said, plus his swag and the confidence that you have when you look at him. You look at Cooper Rush as a manager. You look at Dak as somebody who can win you ball games. Yeah. It's just two different categories.
Yeah, and facts. Not much to add to that. Cooper Rush, he did everything that he was supposed to do. Again, Cooper Rush, excellent job. Thank you for your service. But it's time for QB1, and the difference is the type of leadership that Dak provides. It's this heated passion that you're going to see come out as soon as he gets back on the field, and hopefully that'll be as soon as this Sunday, and it looks like it might be.
Do you think if these two teams played again tomorrow, who would win? If they played again tomorrow? Well, I'll even back it up just so Dak Prescott's ready and we know he's good to go. If you play again in Week 7, Do you think the Cowboys have a chance to win it?
Yes.
Isaiah?
No.
Not ready yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
You mean him coming fresh off the injury?
Fresh? Yeah, sure. Why not? Fresh off the injury.
I think it's a closer game. I think you can still argue.
That's a yes.
Don't you walk that line, Rob P.
Yeah, I mean,
don't you walk that line. You hop over the fence or you stay on one side.
We haven't seen this offense with Dak in a month, but I think it's a much closer game last night if he plays. I just do. If he's
he wouldn't
Dak,
have to play perfect. He wouldn't have to play perfect.
Yeah.
He would just have to not throw 3 interceptions, and I don't think that he would. And I think because he wouldn't throw 3, give him 1. Say he throws 1 interception, Cowboys win this game.
In this hypothetical, I made it up. I think Dallas wins just because it's my hypothetical and I say what I want. All right, that does it for us here on Talkin' Cowboys.
The host.
Science.
Science.
The host with the most.
Yeah. Science. We'll be back tomorrow. We're going to take your calls here on Talkin' Cowboys. We're talking to Cowboys Nation. 888-855-2297. Give us a call tomorrow. We'll love to hear your thoughts and look ahead to the Cowboys and the Detroit Lions at AT&T Stadium this week. For Chris Beam, Rob Phillips, Isaiah Stanback, and Patrick No Sleep Walker, I'm Kyle Yeoman saying so long from the Star in Frisco. We'll see you tomorrow with more Talkin' Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!